It is difficult to comprehend how fast the city can drown. One moment, life follows its usual rhythm. People wake, commute, buy fruit in the market, open shop shutters to welcome customers. And then, with little warning, the familiar becomes unrecognizable. Streets turn into rivers, electricity flickers out, communication collapses, and the world shrinks to the space you can wade through. This is not fiction. This is Hat Yai, southern Thailand, late November 2025, when a city of trade, tourism, food stalls and night markets became the center of one of the worst flood disasters in the region's recent history. Hat Yai, Songkhla Province, Thailand, November 24, 2025. The event began like a heavy monsoon, typical for the season. But this time, the rain did not stop. Meteorological centers recorded relentless precipitation over several consecutive days, with Hat Yai receiving over 300 millimeters of rainfall within 24 hours, an all-time local record and the highest since systematic monitoring began. Over a 3-day period, accumulated rainfall reached more than 600 millimeters in some locations. Rivers swelled, drainage canals overflowed, and water surged from the surrounding hills faster than pumping systems could cope. Officials later described the downpour as a one-in-centuries event, overwhelming infrastructure built for far milder seasonal floods. In the early stages, authorities reported around 30 confirmed deaths across southern provinces affected by the storm. Yet as waters rose and access collapsed, the numbers increased. By late November, national disaster agencies stated the toll had climbed beyond 140. In the first week of December, estimates reached roughly 176 fatalities, though the exact number fluctuated depending on region and reporting date. Hundreds of thousands of residents across Songkhla, Patani Yala, Narathawat, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Phatthalung, Trang, Krabi, Surathani, and Satan were impacted, many isolated for days without power or clean water. The scale became clearer only once emergency teams accessed previously unreachable zones. Hat Yai suffered some of the most dramatic visuals. Water depths in low-lying districts reached between 1.5 and 2.5 meters, submerging cars entirely. Iconic markets fell silent. Busy boulevards, normally alive with motorcycles and tuk-tuks, turned into murky canals navigable only by boats. Families climbed staircases to upper floors as ground levels disappeared under swirling brown currents. In some neighborhoods, only rooftops remained visible above the floodline. Households without second floors sought safety on neighbor balconies, schools, temples, or makeshift shelters set up on higher ground. Hospitals faced severe pressure. One of Hat Yai's major medical facilities saw its first floors inundated, forcing staff to move patients upstairs while generators kept intensive care units functioning. Military helicopters transported supplies, oxygen tanks, blood units, antibiotics, partly because roads were either destroyed, submerged, or blocked by landslides. Evacuation was prioritized for critical patients, elderly individuals, newborns, dialysis cases. Medical workers described performing procedures by emergency lights, surrounded by the sound of rain hammering on roofs and the uncertainty of when help might arrive next. Economic losses mounted quickly. Hundreds of shops along commercial streets lost merchandise to the floodwater. Restaurants, hotels, electronic stores, clothing vendors, many saw entire inventories destroyed overnight. Tourism collapsed instantly. Had the flood persisted for a full month without relief, economists projected regional losses exceeding 25 billion baht. Even with partial receding by early December, cleanup alone demanded enormous manpower. Roads required clearing, power lines repair, water treatment restoration. For many households, the emotional burden outweighed the financial one. Family homes built over decades, wedding photos, heirlooms, children's books, all reduced to mud-soaked memories. Amid the chaos, the situation for foreign visitors also became a headline. Hat Yai, a cross-border tourist hub attracting Malaysians, Singaporeans, Chinese travelers and backpackers from around the world, suddenly found itself inaccessible. Flights continued intermittently thanks to airport elevation and emergency control measures, but surrounding access by land became impossible. Over 800 Singaporeans traveling or staying in the region reported being stranded temporarily. Their evacuation required coordination between Thai authorities, consular teams, military units and volunteers using boats through flooded streets. When repatriation was completed, the Singaporean government publicly thanked Thailand for its humanitarian response, highlighting a rare moment where international cooperation overshadowed politics. Rescue operations became a symbol of community resilience. Footage showed groups of civilians navigating submerged neighborhoods in private fishing boats, retrieving the elderly and children trapped inside upper rooms. Soldiers distributed food packages, rice, drinking water, dry noodles, blankets, while wading through waist-deep torrents. Drone teams mapped affected districts to locate missing persons. In some cases, rescue attempts required cutting through ceilings to reach people who had taken refuge in attics as water filled lower floors. Survivors later said that escape was often less a decision than a stroke of fortune. That is the factual foundation of what happened. Now we move into the human narrative, what this disaster felt like, what it revealed, and what future it warns of. Imagine waking up to the sound of rain, familiar and calming. It has rained all week, nothing unusual for November. But today, something feels different. The street outside your window is no longer a street. It is a flowing river. You step out of bed and the floor is already wet. You rush to lift the refrigerator, but water climbs faster than you can move. Your children are crying upstairs. Your elderly parents wait for guidance. You have no time to pack more than documents, maybe one change of clothes, your phone if you remembered to charge it. Power goes out. The world goes quiet except for the swelling water and the thundering storm. Outside, entire neighborhoods transform. A man swims across what used to be a sidewalk to retrieve medicine for his mother. A woman stands on her roof waving a colored cloth for helicopter visibility. A group of teenagers ties plastic bottles together to improvise flotation rafts. People shout across flooded streets to check on neighbors. Strangers become family in an instant. Night falls, but the darkness is absolute. No street lights. No neon restaurant signs. No festival music. Only the distant hum of boat engines and occasional shouts for help. The city that never slept is now sleepless for another reason: fear. Parents stay awake listening to water levels, afraid to close their eyes. Some clutch children close, counting the seconds between thunderclaps. The world feels both small and overwhelmingly dangerous. When morning arrives, even the sun brings no comfort. The rain has slowed, but water remains. It has taken possession of the streets. Inside homes, sofas float against ceilings, chairs drift like ghosts. A family photo album dissolves in silence, ink running like tears across wet pages. You try to laugh, because crying changes nothing. But the uncertainty lingers. How long until help reaches you? How long until the water goes down? Will your home ever feel like home again? Outside, the rescue effort intensifies. Volunteers from unaffected provinces drive south with boats strapped to trucks. Some come with nothing more than determination and donated food. Local radio stations broadcast emergency updates. Community centers become shelters. Neighbors who barely exchanged greetings before now share blankets and instant noodles. Humanity rises where infrastructure fails. Days later, when boats finally arrive, you step aboard with a plastic bag of whatever you managed to save, a phone charger, a few clothes, maybe your grandmother's ring. You do not look back at your house because you are afraid of what you will feel. The boat weaves through streets lined with rooftops instead of storefronts. Passing the market, you recognize the sign for your favorite noodle stall peeking above the waterline. The shop owner stands beside you in the boat, silent. Two families, two worlds, one fate. As water levels slowly begin to recede, the true scale of ruin emerges. Roads have cracked and lifted like broken bones. Bridges are warped beyond use. Cars lie stacked like discarded toys. Shops coated in thick mud smell of decay and stagnant water. Volunteers shoveled debris under a brutal sun. Every action is heavy, but giving up is heavier. Officials announce plans for reconstruction, reinforcing embankments, redesigning drainage, expanding early warning systems. Engineers discuss raising critical infrastructure. Politicians promise funding. Experts warn that climate change makes floods like this more likely. Warmer oceans intensify monsoon cycles, increase rainfall capacity, and elevate the risk of cascading disasters.